free energy. We're at the cusp now. It's coming out into the progressive thinking about free energy. Imagine a box on the side of your house or in your garage the size of your air conditioner that gives you all the energy you could ever need. No need for electrical transmission lines, no need for coal plants, no need for oil, no need for any power, nuclear power. No need for that. My dad was a nuclear physicist. My dad invented, I grew up inside that whole world of scientists from around the world coming to visit from India, Pakistan, America. He'd be traveling all the time, meetings in Switzerland, I fell in love with Toblerone chocolate because my dad used to bring it from Switzerland, So I grew up inside that, and he wrote the computer program that still to this day runs most of the nuclear reactors on the planet. And he was very adamant about it only being used for peaceful purposes. It was his particular karma, right? But here's the thing. How can we move to free energy? They exist. All you got to do is go on YouTube, look up magnetic motors. There's some things going on there. But there's a deep anti-wanting to see, anti-able to see collective consciousness. We cannot see things until we're willing to see things. We all see according to our predisposed programming. If you have a black and white programmed camera and point that at the world, it can only pick up black and white. If you have a black and white mind that's been put in, that's all you're going to see. So researchers are now more and more, Dr. Stephen Greer, for example, Brian O'Leary, these cutting-edge people that are trying to get the idea of free energy out there. Wonderful. In the 80s, with the American Hydrogen Association in Phoenix, Arizona, I was researching, studying, hoping, young, enthusiastic, that this easy, we can do the hydrogen. I remember on the biggest paper in Sweden, Dagens Nyheter, the day's news in Sweden, it was a front page article and a Saab sitting there, I run on hydrogen. And it was in 85, 86. And the German government and the Swedish government were doing these studies to convert all the cars to run on hydrogen. And not hydrogen batteries and being off the electric grid. But literally all it was you ran water in through a hose. You had a machine about the size of a small refrigerator that used 8 kilowatts. Very, very little electricity. About the same as running a light bulb, which is nothing. And it would just break the water into oxygen and hydrogen and store it. I think it was in the titanium metal. And then it would be released during the day. Plenty of power. No, I can only go 50 miles and then I have to recharge. Plenty of power, free energy. It didn't happen. I remember trying to publicize these findings that I'd found, these studies, going around calling radio station, TV station, and I could just feel no click. It was just this collective denial that wasn't ready to hear it, to see it, to believe it yet. We don't believe in something for free yet. It has to be what? Every time on the evening news when someone has quote a success, they say what? Hard work. You got to keep working hard. It's got to be difficult, and you got to keep at it, and don't be a quitter. So this is a very, very, very deep program that has to be very difficult to reach something, and then finally success. So inside that field of belief, how could it possibly introduce someone and say, well, here's something for free? There's no free lunch. That's the programming, right? Here's something for free. Free energy. And when it deals with something so fundamental as how to run our whole lives, it brings up a huge anti-denial, push down, don't want to hear it, can't hear it. When Galileo, famous Galileo, right? First man to invent the what? Telescope, right? The church was going to burn him at the stake. Literally, imprison him. His colleagues, other professors, other people working with him in science at the time, refused True story. Look it up. To look through his telescope. They refused to look through the telescope because they knew they would see new things. They would realize that the earth is not center and the sun doesn't go around it, but it's the other way around. Their worlds, literally planets, would have been turned upside down. They refused to look through his telescope. How many people do you know, and where do you yourself refuse to look at what really is? So we can have two guys in Utah come up with cold fusion, two physicists in Utah discover cold fusion, and the rest of I think it was in the 90s, and I forget their names now, and the rest of the scientific community. I grew up inside of scientism with my dad, nuclear physicist. He met Edward Teller, father of the hydrogen bomb, all these people, famous people. You know, I saw all this, felt all this, and I realized scientism has its own blocks, collective blocks, just like Galileo's friends. So unless we work on the psychological part of it, the spiritual part of it, or call it the collective consciousness part of it, there's no way free energy can come in. And do we want free energy? Can we have free energy now? If it just makes chainsaws run forever and you cut down all the trees. Or if you have, it just makes bigger and better weapons. Obviously, we cannot have free energy. It's like we're not giving it to ourselves. Or you can say God won't let us have it yet. The wise all source, the source of everything, the unified field source, another word for God, can't give it to us, or we can't give it to ourselves until we can handle it safely. You don't give your 3-year-old a gun. So if we're going to make more destructive things out of free energy, obviously we can't receive it yet. So where's the change going to come? I've said it before, right? We've all heard it, but it's a good one to put in. If the people will lead, the leaders will follow. Why won't someone like an Al Gore or certain famous scientists, why won't they listen to the free energy quote side of it? Because they are following the collective. It's that joke about politicians, right? Politics, a word meaning poly, meaning many, and ticks, a word meaning blood-sucking little insect, right? So politics has to follow our collective. So if you want to change the world and bring in free energy on the planet, free up the energy inside you. It is the most powerful thing you can do. Literally. Because there can be a Galileo or, who was it? Fulton or Marconi, inventor of the telegraph, the first time radio waves are sent through the air, they had him locked up, put in a straitjacket for even daring to think about it. And we're learning very slowly. So free energy is coming. But right now, we're very scared of it. We're very scared of the free energy. So make yourself not scared of free energy. Imagine and feel, would I be safe with having unlimited wealth, unlimited power? And if you don't feel safe with that, work on the parts that need to be healed and cleared, why that would be safe. Or if you have ideas about why we couldn't have free energy. That is what will change. So people like Gene Malov at MIT doesn't have to die once he realizes it is true. We can have it. All right, so consciousness shift, allowing in the free energy, is the first step. You do that, I do that, we do that. The politics, don't worry, all those blood-sucking little politicians, I'm kidding, they will follow, not a problem. But if the collective doesn't change, it will never change.